The European Drag Series takes over the famous Hockenheim circuit in Germany this week, and over 46,000 fans have gathered for one of the drag racing season's most spectacular races on the calendar. Coming up is all the action from the European Top Fuel Dragster Series, the FIM Super Twin Harley Davidsons, the Brits take on the Germans in the Super Eliminator class, better known to us as Supergas, and Barry Sheevels, the much-loved British top alcohol champ, knocks the Europeans dead in his first visit to Hockenheim in the European Top Alcohol Championship. Well, at the Nitro Olympics at Hockenheim, we have 7 top fuel teams. These are the stars of the show, and the big news this weekend is the return of the European record holder, Berstad. She qualified number 1 and clocked the fastest kilometers per hour and ET of the session. Not bad for a 2-year break. RICO Anthes, here on his home territory in Germany, his night run produced the number 2 qualifying spot at 5.26, 440 kilometers per hour. Spectacular stuff. Nybo, a man who was Rookie of the Year, now becoming a force to be reckoned with. Number 3 qualifier, the man from Denmark, 5.53 at 422. This is the Iceman, Mr. Consistency, Tommi Haapanen from Finland. He got the number 4 spot with a time of 5.56, 398 kilometers per hour. From Sweden, Vivica Everstedt with her Valvoline car. She was in the number 5 spot, having run a 5.67 with a disappointing top speed of 275 kilometers per hour. Last year's champ, this is Peter Lantz from Sweden, got the number 6 spot with a run of 5.85, 377 kilometers per hour. And finally, but certainly not least, from Great Britain, our only entrant into Top Fuel, Andy Carter. And Andy ran in the number 7 qualifying spot with a 14-second run. So lots of work in the pits overnight for some teams. Remember, each engine is stripped right down to the block after every run, which brings us to the first round of eliminations in Top Fuel, the fastest land-based accelerators on this planet. Here's Berstad.
Berstad, you've been out of racing now for about a year and a half. You've come back so strongly, number 1 qualifier, lowest ET so far, 5.17, and fastest top speed. That's amazing.
Yes, it is. I didn't expect it this weekend, and oh, it feels marvelous. I noticed that we was running very fast, and I sure noticed the top speed.
So you've got a bye run in the first round, which is a nice way to get through to the second round in competition.
Yes, and I need to run as much as I can, because I don't have all the routines in my body.
How about your reactions to the timing lights? Are they a bit slow coming back from so long?
A little bit slower, yes.
Yeah.
But I hope they come back.
Do you know, I've really missed that lady. Not only is she very attractive, she can really handle this motor car. Here we go then, up to the start line, the Motorola Mac Tall's car, and she is on a bye run, even then lights up the tyres, runs through with a 5.34. My goodness me, she is back on form. Slow reaction time, however, of 0.59. You need to be close to a 0.40 to win races at this level of the sport. So in Top Fuel, here's our first racing pair, the battle of the oils. Esso Ultron, the Iceman, Tommi Haapanen, against the Valvoline car of a not too certain or too happy Vivica Everstedt.
Vivica Everstedt, how fortunes change in drag racing. Come from the final in Mantorp Park a couple of weeks ago, and now your 5th qualifier going into this round, and you've got, again, Tommi Haapanen in the first round.
Yeah, and of course I'm disappointed about my time yesterday. But we had a problem every round with awfully tire shakes, and I mean, it's not nice to drive the car when it's
and you clipped off early a couple of times.
Yeah, every time. So I hope I know that they solved the problem for the round today, so...
Tommi Haapanen's qualified ahead of you,
yeah,
but not by too much. He did a 5.56 and you did a 5.67.
Yeah.
So it could be a close race.
Yeah,
It could
I
not
hope
be a
so.
close
And
race.
I mean, we see what happened, because if it's true that they found the problem, maybe I can give the crowd a better show today.
Well, you know, I don't think I've ever seen Vivica Avested looking so down and miserable as she is before the start of this race against Tommi Haapanen. We'll have to see what happens here. The crew getting ready, obviously looking very, very pensive indeed about this run. Tommi Haapanen just motors on through. There's the burnout for him, feeling quite calm, cool and collected. And running against the quickest lady in Europe. Remember, of course, that Vivica Avested ran a 5:05 in the first meeting at Sandepod this year. And they're off together, but problems immediately for Vivica Avested. Tommi Haapanen motors by, clicks off a 5:54, just under 400 kilometers per hour. And great sorrow there for Vivica Avested. She is out. Wow, is this ever going to be a race? Peter Lantz and Jens Nybo.
Now, you've got your teacher, Peter Lantz, in the first round. Now, that's going to be a controversial win if you beat him, because you're currently points leader at the moment, so you really need to win today.
I need to win, that's for sure. But he has a strong car and a strong crew, so...
And you're driving his ex-car, so two Peter Lantz cars. Peter Lantz in one lane and his student in the other.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So you're not going to let him win then?
No way.
You know, I believe him. I cannot see that this man will possibly let Peter Lantz get in front. Peter, of course, is still learning with his new car. And this man from Denmark, Jens Nybo, really has been getting some experience in here. So as they come up to the start line, is it going to be the old Peter Lantz car or the new Peter Lantz car that takes the win in this race? And they're away together. A better start line reaction for Jens Nybo. And he takes the win. Look at these times, 5.25. Lose out for Peter Lantz, 5.61. That's what drag racing at top fuel level is all about. Sterling stuff. Well, after all of that, we're now turning our attentions to Great Britain's only entrant in Top Fuel. This is Andy Bad Boy Carter, a man who has made his way up into Top Fuel from driving Ford Pops. And he is up against, really, it's David and Goliath. On his home turf, the man from Germany, RICO Anthes. This is going to be a difficult one.
Yeah, we're doing a full pass today. The reason we've been doing the 8th, we've got a new combination in the car. There's a new direct drive unit, new clutch, new fuel system, and there's completely new crew and crew chief, Knut Soderquist.
Now, the new system you've got in there, combination, is a Bill Schultz combination, which we've seen many times in Harlan Thompson's Budweiser car.
That's right, yes.
So he knows what he's doing?
Yeah, we've had Bill Schultz helping us, mainly by telephone, but we're confident in the fuel system.
And how are you feeling in the top fuel seat?
100% confident in the car, you know, and I love driving it. I really, you know, I wish I'd been involved earlier.
Well, here's the power he's up against. The German RICO Anthes.
Now, you're wearing two hats at this race meeting as usual. Hockenheim is your baby. Is that going to affect your concentration because you're running around running this whole show as well as driving?
Yeah, it's a little bit harder for me over here than anywhere else because I have other things going on, and it seems to me always here we have some kind of a bad luck. Little things happening. We had to change a motor because the oil pressure was not with the way we wanted.
Job.
Yeah, and it's like the Schumacher syndrome. I mean, he needed a long time to win here. I hope I can manage to do so this time, but still, we've been in the finals last year but couldn't make it. I hope we will be again in the finals at least.
Now, there's plenty of action going on behind us. Here, your crew working madly on the engine. Did you have some problems in qualifying, or is this routine?
This is basically routine. We just found out that one of the main bearings didn't look too good, so we didn't want to take a risk in breaking the motor right in the run, so we decided to change it and go with a good motor in the race and know that we can go all the way to the finals with it.
Okay, prophetic words there from the man from Germany, RICO Anthes, but he's up against Great Britain's Andy Carter, but pulls a perfect hole shot, but then everything goes wrong for both cars. Andy Carter broke a camshaft and bent a pushrod, and presumably problems indeed manifesting themselves for RICO Anthes. He cruises through and takes the win with 13.5 seconds. Well, RICO's team really upset with that. They don't know what's gone wrong with the car. They can only now wait for it to get back in the pits for them to look at it. He marches on and meets the Great Dane Jens Nybo, but Liv Berstad returning meets Tommi Haapanen in the next round. Coming up after the break, a treat for hog lovers everywhere, the Top Fuel Super Twin Harleys. Don't go away. It's the Nitro Olympics at Hockenheim in Germany, and coming up right now are the FIM Harley-Davidson Super Twin motorcycles. Well, the Super Twins this weekend, in their second year of competition, noticeable by the absence of the current record holder in both speed and ET, Adam Hewitt from Great Britain. Well, this is our first pair. Putting this man, the #1 qualifier from Holland, Gerard Lantz, up against the man from Sweden, who in this year has been given a good account of himself, Ulf Nyland. Both of these guys run Harley Davidsons, the big V-twin motors. Both of them are in excess of 2,000 cc's. Away they go. And it is the #1 qualifier. Gets a better start line reaction and gets to the top end first. 7.16. 298 kilometers per hour. And it's quite obvious that he is chasing Adam Hewitt's record, 7.16. That's one of the quickest times we've ever seen. Here's our next pair coming up to the line. Both of these guys from Sweden. Lars Wahlberg closest to the camera. He was our #5 qualifier, up against Christer Jakobsen. He was our #4 qualifier. So truly speaking, the #4 man should get to the top end first. But it's not happening this time. It's Lars Wahlberg who gets there first. A better start line reaction and a time of 7.50. Lose out to Jakobsen, 7.57. Here's last year's champ, Anders Charlie Carling, also from Sweden. And he's up against the man from Austria, Werner Sohm. He's called Cruise to his friends. Obviously quite a missile once he gets going. And in actual fact, Werner Sohm got into the #2 qualifying spot with a run of 7.31. Anders Charlie Carling not on form here this weekend, qualified in the #7 spot with a 7.54. Well, let's see whether Charlie Carling can redress the situation here. Don't forget, these are big, big bikes. You have to do a lot of riding to keep these machines running straight. They're away from the start line, almost identical start line reactions, and just look at the way they have to lean to keep the bikes running straight, but it's Werner Sohm who takes the win. 7.32, and as Charlie Carling still in the 7.5 second bracket, loses out. Burning out, the godfather of the Harley Davidson racing, the Zodiac man from Holland, that's Tom Pels. And Tom Pels up against a man from Germany, Klaus Jungerud. And he's got problems. Jungerud off of the machine, so it's going to be a bye run for the Zodiac man, Tom Pels. Tom's been around for years and years and years. Really lives up to that Godfather title. 2,400 cc's of power in this machine. He was our #6 qualifier and on a bye run through into the next round, where he will be meeting Werner Sohm. And he runs a 7.54. Everybody very, very happy with that one. Okay, let's leave 2 wheels and go on to 4 once more as we move into the world of the European Top Alcohol Championship. Here running their next round at the Nitro Olympics. Well, let's have a look at the top qualifying positions. Bob Fieler, the flying Frenchman, is #1 with a storming 6.12. He is going to be hard to beat here today. But just 0.02 of a second behind him is Michael Kagerath from Sweden. Michael is currently #2 in the championship this year and obviously looking for more points. Finland's Anita Makela, last year's champion, really has had a problematic day. Her qualifying session not going well at all.
Anita Makela, European champion of 1994, back in Hockenheim. Now this is your second race since you've been back with your foot injury. Now you've qualified #3 position, but a few problems.
I mean, we have had a lot of problems during this weekend. Tire shakes, I can't get the gears in like I should. So, well, let's see. I hope that boys can work out all those problems, and I really count on my crew, but, you know, let's hope all the best.
Now, Peter Beck's not going to make it to the first round. He broke in qualifying, so you've got a bye run into the next round against Peter Cruz.
That's right. We are in the bye run, so we can test something new, and let's hope that we can get rid of the problems. And then it's Peter Cruz coming, and then we need to go fast as possible way.
Okay, good luck, Anita.
Thank you, I really need that.
So a solo run then for Anita, who this year, amazingly, because of that injury earlier on in the year, is now running right down in 12th position in the championship. That foot injury has just kept her out of racing until the last meeting, which was in Sweden. So she isn't doing too bad at all. Well, let's look for a pair to come out now and run in this first round of Top Alcohol. And we've got 2 funny cars, side by side. This is from Switzerland, Detso Krivan, seemingly looking like a Lumber Gorgonzola. And here is his opponent from Germany, doing so well here this weekend, Peter Cruz. Now, Petter finished up in the number 6 qualifying spot, running a 6:37, and must be feeling very, very much at home in that funny car in front of his home crowd. Detso Krivan, a hardened competitor, unfortunately doesn't get an awful lot of time to practice back home in Switzerland, and obviously has got a problem on the start line. So it is a solo run through for Petter Cruz, and he clicks off another 6:37. What a weekend the German is having. Detso Krivan's car pushed back behind the start line to make way for our next pair coming through. An Anglo-Swedish tussle, a dragster against this funny car. This is Michael Kagarad, the 1993 top alcohol champion in his Ford Mustang. He is running against Britain's Craig Lowes. Now, Craig Lowes was our number 13 qualifier here, really enjoying his weekend in Germany, sponsored by the Rug Doctor. But the Quaker State man, Michael Kagarad, was our number 2 qualifier, so Craig Lowes has it all to do. But Craig Lowes pulls a wonderful hole shot away from the start line of 0.45 reaction time and just not got the power to hold Michael Kagarad. Kagarad takes the win with a 6.18 to Craig Lowes' 6.90. This time around, it's Anglo-German Barry Sheevels, the defending British champion and 5-second runner, up against a man we know very little of in the UK, Walter Strobel from Germany. Well, Mr. Strobel was the number 10 qualifier against Mr. Sheevels' number 5 spot. But there's always one of these problems when you're racing an unknown. You don't know how cute they are on the lights. You don't know how well they're going to do on a run. So Barry Sheevels pulls out a hole shot, goes a little bit out of shape, but takes the win with an incredible 6.78 and shuts down Walter Strobel's 6.87. A good side-by-side drag race. Here's our next pair, putting 2 Brits against one another. The funny car of the man currently leading the Euro Championship. This is Alan Jackson. He's up against the man who had a great outing here in 1994, Rob Turner from Higham Ferries in Northamptonshire. But that's not going to happen today. Alan Jackson clicks off a magic 0.58 reaction time and leaves Rob Turner, even though he runs a quicker time, behind. Jackson marches on. Here's our next pair, funny car and funny car. This is Lex June from Holland in the Dutch Spirit car, up against the man with one of the most wondrous paint schemes from Switzerland, the weightlifter Urs Urbacher. Now, Urs Urbacher was our number 4 qualifier here today against Lex June's number 11 qualifier, and Lex pulls a better start line reaction, but he can't hold the power of Urs Urbacher. He marches on with a 6.29 and a 6.37 lose out for the man from Holland. And finally, our number 1 qualifier with his dad guiding him back there. This is the Frenchman, sponsored by the city of Paris, Bob Fieler. Well, Fieler having a good weekend here so far. Dad paints the bug catcher there to stop it icing up. This alcohol fuel they use is really, really cold. And obviously he is going to be looking for a quick run, so he gets lane choice. Now, he qualified with a time of 6.12. And let's see what he does on this bye run. He's automatically through into the next round. He runs a 6.19, a reaction time of 0.58. So he is doing very well indeed. Well done to Bob Fieler. Well, back to the pits now to check out the progress of the remaining top fuel teams in competition. Now remember, they've only got a total of 90 minutes from the last round to the next to strip those engines down to the block, check every part for damage, rebuild it, set the combination and make it back to the start line again for the semi-finals. Haapanen will be trying desperately to step up and run faster because he meets super fast Leif Berstad in the semis. RICO Anthes, the German, has plenty of repairs to do after he blew the pulley off of the blower belt after smoking the tyres in that last round. Jens Nybo, the Great Dane, will also be trying to step up because his semi-final is against RICO, and that will not be an easy win. In the top alcohol pits, Bob Rocketman Fieler, who has run the quickest kilometres per hour and ET so far this meeting, will be trying to squeeze every last bit of horsepower out of his engine. If he wants to beat England's Barry Sheevels, he is going to have to run a very low 6. Sheevels has previously run a 5, and he, this weekend, is in really good shape. Now, the man who's had the run of his lifetime here this weekend is this man, Germany's Petter Cruz. He's already knocked out Detso Krivan and the 94 champ Anita Makela, and a win against Michael Kagarad would be a dream come true. Here's what happens when it all goes seriously wrong with a top fuel car. Flames and bits everywhere. Coming up next at the Door Slammer Wars, the gases are go as the Brits meet the Europeans in Super Eliminator. Sit tight.
You're watching Sky Sports 2.
Well, we're back at Hockenheim with the Super Eliminator. Now, in England, we normally know these cars as Supergas cars. They run to an index of 9.90. They all look for a reaction time of 0.4 away from the start line and look to run the quarter mile in 9.90. Here's our first pair, both from Great Britain. Phil Druitt in the XR3i, Trevor Graves in the Sierra, and Graves coming back at the top end. He takes the win, 9.95, goes through into the next round. Phil Druitt losing out with a 9.96. So close, this racing. Here's our next pair. This is England against Germany. Rolf Seitz in his Chevy Vega against the 37 Ford Coupe of Nick Davis. And Nick Davis pulls a beautiful hole shot on the start line, a 46 reaction time. Gets to the top end, a comfortable win for him, 10.22. Ralph Seitz loses with a 10.20. Unlucky for him, but Nick Davis is going to be one happy Brit. Here's our next pair. It's an all-British tussle. The blue Camaro of Killer on the Tree, Alex Nicol, the man with the electric reaction times against the yellow Mercury Comet of John Webster. Well, an almost perfect reaction time of 0.43 for Alex Nicol. He gets to the top end first and runs a 9.92. Quality like that is hard to beat. Well, here's our next pair, and this again is an all-British tussle, bearing in mind there were 35 cars entered for this field. Going into this third round, only 10 survived, 8 of these were British, and here's the next pair, Paul Letchford and Brian Pateman. Brian Pateman pulls a 0.43 reaction time, takes the win with a 9.95. He won that on the start line. Now here's our final pair, puts Holland against Great Britain. This is Paul Watson from Essex with his Dodge Dart. What a terrible weekend he's had. He's had to rebuild the whole back axle and ended up as the number 25 qualifier. He's up against a 68 supercharged Camaro of Robert Cooper from Holland. Well, anything could happen here. Certainly in Great Britain, Paul Watson is a force to be reckoned with, and Robert Cooper is an unknown quantity, so it's all going to be on this start line reaction, and it's Cooper who pulls the 0.46 reaction time, gets it out in front, and that's where he stays, taking the win with a 9.98 as opposed to Paul Watson's lose out 9.99. How close can you get? It's semi-final time in Top Alcohol right now, and after successfully making it through, Britain's Barry Sheevels is looking confident. He's up against Bob Feeler, the Frenchman, but do his looks convey what he's really feeling?
You know, the track is very difficult. And obviously...
We saw you go right out of shape in the first round.
In the first round we pulled away at probably 5,000 from the line and hitting towards 10,000 revs, the car just broke totally loose, shook really violently.
A few people had the same kind of trouble there.
Yeah, but, just at that particular point on the track. And obviously the car then gets into a mind of its own and instead of going quarter of a mile, you go half a mile. And fortunately we won. And it was a quickish run anyway.
Now you've got Bob Feeler in the next round.
Yeah, I've just had a run with Lex Loon, and we took that one for the 6.18, which was actually the quickest run of that round. So obviously guys are now trying to step on it, because Bob Feeler was #1 qualifier.
And he's running 6.12,
yes,
so
but
the fastest you've run is a 6.18 today.
That's right. But no one ran quicker in that round. So obviously our guys are looking at the weather conditions, track conditions, trying to sort out the right combination for the fuel system and the right combination for the clutch, and hopefully by the end, when we get to the final and win it, hopefully we'll be in the 6-0s.
The man he has to beat, Bob Feeler, getting a kiss from his son for luck before the race.
Bob Feeler doing so well here at Hockenheim, #1 qualifier, top speed, low ET of 6.12, and you've just come through all the way into the semis, and you've got Barry Sheevels in the next race.
Yeah, it's the first time I make a good result in Hockenheim. I think the car it's good now. The problem is now it's a race. Barry Sheevels is a very good competitor, and I hope I'm sure it's a very good run the next run with him.
Well, you can never ever discount Bob Feeler. We've watched him in the UK come in as a rank outsider and set the whole field alight, and Barry has got to be thinking that he is up against a man who is on the top of his profession at the moment. Bob Fieler climbing into his dragster, runs an unusual engine combination in this car, an Arius engine, normally used in powerboat racing, but now with Bob Fieler really reaching the heights in top alcohol racing. Well, this particular race really does put two men at the top of their sport against one another. The Sheevels crew firing up his engine, putting in neat petrol into the bug catcher. That draws the alcohol through. And this, of course, puts the number 1 qualifier, Bob Fieler, against the number 5 qualifier, Barry Sheevels. There was only 0.07 of a second between them on their qualifying runs. So whatever happens in this particular race, it is going to be close. The burnout's completed. Back behind the start line, the crew making the final adjustments. Crew chief for Barry Sheevels, Steve Clark, lets Barry edge up towards the start line, where the man who actually built the car, England's Jeff Hauser, directs him right onto the start line. The crew feeling more nervous now than the actual driver himself. Start line reaction is all important. They're going to be looking for a perfect .40 if they can get it. And it's Sheevels who's away first. He reacts with a .56 to a .59 for Bob Fieler. And although Fieler runs a quicker time, 6.12, it's Sheevels who takes the win. It was won on the start line, a better start line reaction, although he runs a lower ET, 6.14. Mr. Fieler Sr. doesn't understand that, but the Brits do. They're absolutely cock-a-hoop. Here's a man who's been doing so well here this weekend, Peter Cruz from Germany. He has never previously got this far in European competition. He has just beaten Anita Makela. His dream is coming true.
You must be very pleased.
Oh yes, I am, and my crew all is very happy. My sponsor, all.
Now you've got Kagarad in the next round now.
Yeah.
He's run a couple of teens, 6.18, hard guy to beat.
It's very hard, the next one. I work on this.
Good luck, Peter.
Thank you.
Well, here's Michael Kagarad. This is Peter Cruz's opponent. Michael Kagarad, quietly confident, one of the most popular men in the drag racing sport, and a man who I said earlier on was the 1993 champion. You can never ever discount this man. Now coming up to the start line, Peter Cruz is having some problems with his funny car. Well, they're putting the bodywork down, but I think Peter is far from happy with what's going on under that replica body. And just as he goes to move forward, he raises the escape hatch to say, hey, it's all over. The car is broken. What rotten luck for that team. So Michael Kagarad then on a solo run through into the next round. Now, what is he going to do here? Well, he gets a .46 reaction time and then just comes off of the loud pedal, cruises through with a 732, but he had pulled a red light on the tree. Now, if Peter Cruz had actually got to the start line, he would have won. Consolation for the German team. Applause from the crowd on their home turf, of course, as we move back into round 4 of the Super Eliminator. And in this particular outing, there is now only one non-British competitor. The first pair we see from Great Britain, Nick Davis with a 37 Ford, originally owned by Lana Turner and imported into Great Britain all those years ago. He's up against a more modern Ford, however. This is Trevor Graves from Bristol with his Ford Sierra. Both of these cars running large American V8 engines. Don't forget, they're looking for 9.90. They're looking for a reaction time of 0.4 on the start line. Well, the Brits have really shown how professional they are with their drag racing. Aid just walks away and taps Nick Davies' car on the back for luck. Start line reactions now. A 0.43 for Nick Davies, a 0.49 for Trevor Graves means Trevor is in catch-up and he comes storming by Nick, but he breaks out. He goes quicker than 9.90. He runs 9.89. He is 0.02 of a second too quick. That must be awful. It's Nick Davies who takes the win and goes through into the next round with a time of 10.04. What rotten luck for Trevor Graves. Here's the killer on the tree, Alex Nicol with his blue Camaro. He's on a bye run through into the next round where he will now be meeting Nick Davies. What is he going to do? Is he just going to cruise through or is he going to look for lane choice? Well, it says it all. His reaction time is 0.42. It's almost perfect. He's looking for 9.9. He runs 9.9. Extremely clever, good drag racing. And our final pair, the supercharged Camaro of Robert Koper from Holland up against Brian Pateman from Southend-on-Sea in Essex with his 68 Firebird. Now, Brian has been around drag racing for years and years, was a street racer, quite used to going into Europe against impossible odds and coming out winning. Is he going to do that here? Obviously, he is going to be looking for a cute 0.4 reaction time. He knows that Robert Koper with his supercharged Camaro can run the right numbers. So they ease the cars up into the staging beams which control the start line sequence. Once again, it's all down to this start line reaction, and it's Brian Pateman. He pulls a 0.41. My goodness me, getting close to a perfect 0.40. He beats Robert Koper, a 991 to a 998. So in the semi-finals, it's all British in the Super Eliminator, but coming up right after the break, once again, we're going to be looking at these exciting machines, the Top Fuel Dragsters. It's semi-final time here at Hockenheim in Germany for the Top Fuel Dragsters. Number 1 qualifier, Liv Berstad from Norway. An amazing comeback for her. She's up against the Finnish driver, Tommi Haapanen. Now, the interesting thing here between these two, of course, is that they have never ever met one another before in competition. In the time that Liv has been away from the sport, Tommi Haapanen has come along. He has been a rookie driver and has become the Mr. Consistency of the sport, always running those 0.54s and good reaction times. So it's going to be really, really hard. These two just do not know one another at all out there on the track. So both drivers preparing for this critical run to find a space in the final. Tommi Haapanen putting on all the fire protective clothing he has to wear. And Liv Berstad sitting there, concentrating, looking down that track as the starter motor gets put on. Runa Field, her crew chief, standing to the left of the car, looking down the track to make sure everything is in order. It's a tense time for everybody. The crew looking down the track, making sure that everything is okay. And Tommi Haapanen sitting quite coolly in the Esso Ultron car. He doesn't seem concerned at all, and in fact finds time to give us a wave to say everything is okay. Perhaps he doesn't really appreciate the force that he is going to be meeting shortly out there on the quarter mile at Hockenheim. Here we go, they fire up the engines. Again, neat petrol into that bug catcher to draw the nitro methane through. The electric starter motor on top of the blower pulley fires it round, it catches. These engines, 5,000 horsepower, spring into life as we move into the European Top Fuel Series semi-final. Here's Liv Berstad with her burnout. Well, she must be feeling fairly confident going into this semi-final. She was our number 1 qualifier, running right down into the teens again, a 5.17, up against Tommi Haapanen, who was our number 4 qualifier, having run a 5.56. The crew now bringing their charges back onto the 2 rubber stripes they've laid down there during the burnout to make sure they get hot rubber on the ground against the hot rubber in the tyre. This should then give them perfect traction away from the start line, the stickiness of both substances holding the car firmly onto the track. They'll be looking to accelerate to over 100 miles an hour in under a second, and then to run the quarter mile in upwards of 5 seconds, approaching 300 miles per hour. It's Finland against Norway. The favourite has got to be Liv Berstad, although of course she is a wee bit rusty by her own admission for being away from the sport for 2 years. Here they go, moving into the staging beams. They're going to be looking for a 0.4 reaction time, and it's Liv who gets the best reaction time, a 0.51. Look at that gap. And she takes the win with a 5.18 to a 5.67 lose out for Tommi Haapanen. Great stuff. She is in the final for the first time in 2 years.
Okay, Liv, now you're not somebody now that we know who takes things easily when you're breaking into a new competition after so long. 5.18, and now you're into a final, your first one for almost 2 years.
No, I'm very excited over it, and this run was very good because the 2 earlier runs we had a lot of tire shake and I didn't feel that I have the totally control. But now I'm feeling I'm controlling the car again.
And you couldn't complain about that reaction time either on that run. You were away so quickly.
I can't complain.
But looking at the sky, you mightn't have your chance.
I hope this go away because I want to win.
Well, she may well do that here this weekend, but she's going to be meeting one of these two, the German. Very, very confident indeed. RICO Anthes here in front of his crowd. He's the promoter as well, but he thinks he is going to be taking out this man. Rookie of the year, got to be Jens Nybo from Denmark. But I'm not so certain, even though RICO is going to have the full might of the German crowd behind him, I think that this man can really pull off something here this weekend. Jens Nybo has been upsetting everybody since he's been in drag racing, including, of course, the man who taught him everything he knew, Peter Lantz. Certainly RICO's team, the 2 Americans, Paul Berry, Dale Denton and the rest of the crew don't seem bothered or fazed by this at all, and the 2 drivers sportingly shake hands as RICO turns away and just peers at the times that Jens Nybo has been putting in during this weekend's competition. Vivica Avested, after her failure earlier on, now a spectator watching this race unfold before her. So the crew going through their start line procedures once more before firing up these engines. RICO Anthes being strapped into his car, and Jens Nybo once again sitting there quite cool, calm and complacent. Which one of these two is going to be in the final against Liv Berstad? This is where the tension tells. RICO Anthes just tapping away on the handbrake in the Team Powerhouse car. The crew get the signal. We're on our way. So here we are in this other semi-final, the number 2 qualifier. That was RICO Anthes from Germany. He ran a 5:26 during qualifying. And the Dane, Jens Nybo, who was the number 3 qualifier with a 5.53. So, between them, on their qualifying times, about a quarter of a second in favour of the German. Now, can you imagine what the atmosphere is like here at this moment? Nearly 46,000 German fans all rooting for RICO Anthes. That's an awful lot of people power he's going to be experiencing out there. Jens Nybo is the one who's got to battle against it, but Jens been running so well here this weekend. In fact, his year has looked rosier than most people's in Top Fuel. Well, both drivers are going to be looking for that magic .4 reaction time as they approach the start line. And they both react with identical reaction times, .47 for both of them, but problems there for RICO Anthes. 5.25 for Jens Nybo, says he is in the final. And just look what happens to RICO Anthes here on the start line. A big explosion in the engine. That's the supercharger burst plate coming off there. His engine dead just away from the start line. And of course Jens Nybo taking full advantage of that, running a 5.25 into the final, where he's going to find a hard one to beat, Liv Berstad. But for the time being, the crew are happy, getting congratulations from Peter Lantz.
Jens, another amazing result for you.
Yeah.
Straight into the final again.
Yeah.
Last race, dead repeat of the final in Finland, which you won, and you beat him again. RICO Anthes is not going to be a happy man.
No way.
But you're grinning.
Yeah, I am. I'm so happy.
So many good wins today.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Now this next race, if it happens, because the sky's looking pretty ominous, is not going to be so easy.
No, I don't think so, but give it a try and do our best and hope that we will do well.
An interesting and closely matched final in Top Fuel, as it will be in Top Alcohol. Barry Schievel's car just waiting there to run in the far-up lane under those terrible threatening skies. He meets Mickey Kagerad from Sweden in the final now. These two have been racing together for years and years and are the best of friends. We spoke to Barry earlier.
Well, Barry, you said you were going to step up, and you certainly did, and that was a whole shot and a half.
Yeah.
The best I've ever seen.
Well, obviously we know Bob Field is very quick. He's got the mile-an-hour car, really is very, very fast at the top end. And he'd ran #1 qualifier with a 6.12, so we knew we had to step on it, which we did. But the nice thing for a driver is that he knows that all the hard work the guys behind are doing, all your mechanics and the team, when a driver pulls a whole shot and wins on a slower time, then the driver knows he's done his job properly as well.
Yeah.
So it's like everything else in sport. It's a team effort, and you know, it's nice when a driver can pull one off, and especially when we said we were going to.
And especially when it gets you into a Hockenheim final and you've never raced here before.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we've been saying this for years that you know, we are a force to be reckoned with in Europe, and unfortunately, funds have not been able. We've not been able to raise the funds to come over, and here we are in the final at Hockenheim. It's a first attempt, and you know, hopefully we're going to go on and win it.
And you've got Mickey Keggerad in the final now. We've just been speaking to him. He's your old pal.
Yeah.
Gives you parts and things, but he's not going to be taking it easy on you.
Mickey, yeah, is a great friend of mine, and we get on really well off the track, and you know, he won't let me win, that's for sure. And he's, I think at the moment, he probably, if he wins, he'll be leading the European Championship.
That's right.
And I think we've looked at the points and we'll probably be number 2. So when it will all go back to Santa Pod, I think it's going to be a great weekend's racing.
But the finals were not to be. The gods were against us here at Hockenheim, and the rain came down in buckets. And as always with drag racing, as soon as you get the rain on the track, we have to stop. We cannot run in the wet. Points were awarded, however, and let's take a look at those now. Well, in top alcohol, Michael Keggerad is on top of the points. He's looking for his championship again in 1995. Barry Shevels and Alan Jackson, Craig Lowe, 3 Brits in 2nd, 3rd and 4th spot. The final of this rained-off event will be run at the August Bank Holiday meeting at Santa Pod. We'll be there to film it. In top fuel, there'll be no rerun of the final for these guys and girls. Jens Nybo is still on top of the points ladder, and he'll just have to wait until the next top fuel round at Santa Pod, England to race Leave Berstad. Tommi Haapanen moving right up to 2nd place, and Vivica Avested dropping down a place. Well, that's it from us at Hockenheim. We'll see you back in England for the next pavement-pounding episode of the Euro Drag Series. Join us then.